The twin suns of Lumina cast a soft, ethereal glow over the crystalline spires of the capital city, Celestia. Zara, a young Luminian scientist, stood at the edge of the observation deck, her iridescent scales shimmering in the light as she gazed up at the stars. Her large, almond-shaped eyes, filled with swerving galaxies, reflected her deep fascination with the cosmos. For centuries, the Luminians had observed the universe from afar, their advanced technology allowing them to study distant worlds without ever leaving the safety of their own. But today was different. Today, everything would change. A loud chime echoed through the city, signaling the approach of the long-awaited visitors. Zara's heart raced with excitement and a hint of trepidation. Humans, a species they had only studied from afar, were about to set foot on Luminian soil for the first time. As the sleek, silver spacecraft descended through the atmosphere, Zara couldn't help but marvel at its design. It was far less advanced than Luminian technology, yet there was an elegance to its simplicity. The ship touched down on the designated landing pad, sending a ripple of anticipation through the gathered crowd. The airlock hissed open, and out stepped the human delegation. Zara's eyes widened as she took in their alien appearance. Their skin was so different from the Luminian scales, and their eyes, though lacking the cosmic depth of her people's, held a warmth and curiosity that immediately intrigued her. At the forefront of the group stood a tall figure, clearly the leader. His dark hair was cut short, and his stance exuded confidence. As he surveyed the welcoming committee, his gaze locked with Zara's for a brief moment, and she felt an unexpected jolt of connection. The Luminian High Council stepped forward to greet the humans. Elder Vex, his scales a deep, wise blue, bowed slightly. "Welcome to Lumina, honored guests from Earth. I am Elder Vex, and on behalf of our people, we extend our hands in friendship." The human leader stepped forward, mimicking the bow. "Thank you for your warm welcome, Elder Vex. I am Captain Alex Chen of the Earth Exploration Fleet. We come in peace and with great eagerness to learn from your advanced civilization." As the formal introductions continued, Zara found herself drawn to Captain Chen. There was something about him that sparked her curiosity in a way she had never experienced before. When the ceremony concluded and the crowds began to disperse, she made a bold decision. Approaching Captain Chen, Zara introduced herself. "Greetings, Captain. I am Zara, a xenobiologist at the Celestia Science Academy. I was wondering if you might be interested in a more informal tour of our city." Alex turned to her, a warm smile lighting up his face. "Dr. Zara, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'd be honored to accept your offer. The formal ceremonies are important, but I've always believed that true understanding comes from personal connections." As they walked through the gleaming streets of Celestia, Zara found herself captivated by Alex's perspective on the universe. He spoke of Earth's history, its triumphs and struggles, with a passion that resonated deeply with her. "You know," Alex said, pausing to admire a floating garden, "when I was a kid, I used to dream of moments like this. Meeting beings from other worlds, learning about their cultures. It's why I joined the exploration fleet." Zara nodded, her scales rippling with excitement. "I understand completely. I've dedicated my life to studying other species, but to actually meet one, it's beyond anything I could have imagined." As they continued their tour, Alex and Zara exchanged stories and ideas, each fascinated by the other's world. The hours flew by, and before they knew it, the twin suns were setting, painting the sky in a breathtaking array of colors. "I should probably get back to my team," Alex said reluctantly. "But I've really enjoyed our time together, Zara. I hope we can continue these discussions during our stay." Zara felt a flutter in her chest, a sensation she couldn't quite explain. "I'd like that very much, Captain Chen. There's so much more I want to learn about your species." As they parted ways, neither could shake the feeling that something profound had just begun. Unbeknownst to them, their growing connection would soon challenge the very foundations of both their societies. Back at the Science Academy, Zara couldn't focus on her work. Her mind kept drifting back to the conversations with Alex. She had always prided herself on her objectivity as a scientist, but now she'd found herself grappling with emotions she had never experienced before. Meanwhile, Alex lay awake in his quarters, staring out at the alien sky. He had come to Lumina expecting to find scientific marvels and advanced technology. Instead, he found himself captivated by a being whose mind and spirit resonated with his own in ways he never thought possible. As the first day of this historic encounter drew to a close, both Zara and Alex knew that their lives had been irrevocably changed. The bridge between their two worlds was no longer just a diplomatic mission or a scientific endeavor. It had become something far more personal, a connection that would challenge everything they thought they knew about the universe and their place in it. Little did they know that their budding relationship would soon become the catalyst for a series of events that would reshape the future of both their species, testing the boundaries of love, loyalty, and the very essence of what it means to be human or Luminian. As the days passed, Zara and Alex found themselves drawn to each other with an intensity that both thrilled and frightened them. Their official duties provided the perfect cover for their frequent meetings, but it was becoming increasingly difficult to maintain the facade of mere professional interest. One evening, they met in the Celestial Gardens, a secluded area of the city where bioluminescent plants created a magical atmosphere. Zara's scales shimmered in the soft light, reflecting the colors of the surrounding flora. "Alex," she began, her voice tinged with uncertainty, "I've been thinking about our conversations, about the differences between our species. Don't you find it strange how compatible we seem to be?" Alex smiled, his eyes reflecting the otherworldly glow around them. "I've been pondering the same thing, Zara. In all my years of space exploration, I've never encountered a species that feels so kindred." As they walked among the glowing plants, their hands brushed against each other, sending a jolt of electricity through both of them. They paused, eyes locked in a moment of mutual recognition. "This is dangerous territory we're treading," Alex said softly, but he made no move to pull away. Zara nodded, her galactic eyes swirling with emotion. "I know. The High Council would never approve. Interspecies relationships are unprecedented. Despite the risks, they found themselves drawing closer, the pull between them becoming impossible to ignore. In that moment, surrounded by the beauty of an alien world, they shared their first kiss, a meeting of two species, two hearts that would change the course of history. As the weeks went by, Zara and Alex's relationship deepened. They shared knowledge, cultures, and dreams. Zara taught Alex about Luminian history, their advanced understanding of cosmic energies, and their deep connection to the stars. In return, Alex shared stories of Earth's diverse ecosystems, its art, music, and the indomitable human spirit that had driven them to the stars. However, their blissful bubble couldn't last forever. Rumors began to circulate among both the Luminian population and the human crew. Whispers of an inappropriate closeness between the alien scientist and the human captain spread like wildfire. Elder Vex, concerned about the implications of these rumors, summoned Zara to his chambers. His usually calm demeanor was tinged with worry as he addressed her. "Zara, you are one of our brightest minds, but I fear you're letting your fascination with the humans cloud your judgment. These rumors, they cannot be true, can they?" Zara felt her scales flush with a mix of embarrassment and defiance. "Elder Vex, I cannot deny that I have formed a close bond with Captain Chen, but surely this is the kind of understanding we hoped to achieve with the humans." Vex's expression hardened. "Understanding is one thing, Zara, but what you're suggesting goes beyond diplomatic relations. It threatens the very fabric of our society. The Council will not stand for it." Meanwhile, on the human ship, Alex faced similar scrutiny from his second-in-command, Commander Lyra Corey. "Captain, with all due respect, your behavior is bordering on a breach of protocol," Lyra said, her voice tight with concern. "Fraternization with alien species wasn't exactly covered in our training, but I'm pretty sure this crosses a line." Alex ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident in his voice. "Lyra, I understand your concerns. But what's happening between Zara and me, it's not just some fleeting infatuation. We're on the brink of something revolutionary here. Lyra's expression softened slightly. I get it, Alex. I do. But think about the bigger picture. If this goes wrong, it could jeopardize everything we've worked for. The first interstellar peace between humans and an advanced alien race. As pressure mounted from both sides, Zara and Alex found it increasingly difficult to meet. They resorted to clandestine encounters in forgotten corners of the city, always looking over their shoulders, always aware of the ticking clock on their time together. During one such meeting, hidden away in an ancient Luminian library, Alex voiced the fear that had been growing in both their minds. Zara, what if they try to separate us? The mission won't last forever. Eventually, I'll be ordered to return to Earth. Zara's scales dimmed, reflecting her sadness. I've been thinking about that too. I don't know if I can bear the thought of you leaving. In that moment, driven by desperation and love, they made a decision that would alter the course of both their lives and the relations between their species forever. Then come with me, Alex said, his voice barely above a whisper. When the mission ends, come back to Earth. We can show both our peoples that coexistence isn't just possible, it's beautiful. Zara's eyes widened, swirling with a mix of hope and fear. Leave Lumina? Alex, that's unprecedented. No Luminian has ever left our world. I know it's asking a lot, Alex said, taking her hands in his. But think of what it could mean for both our species. We could be the bridge between two worlds. As Zara opened her mouth to respond, the library doors burst open. A group of Luminian guards, led by a stern-faced Elder Vex, entered the room. Behind them, Commander Lyra Corey stood with a mix of sympathy and resolve on her face. I'm sorry, Captain, Lyra said, her voice heavy with regret. But this has gone too far. Elder Vex's voice boomed through the ancient hall. Zara of Lumina, you are hereby charged with treason against your people. And you, Captain Chen, your diplomatic immunity is revoked. The human mission on Lumina is terminated, effective immediately. As they were led away in separate directions, Zara and Alex shared one last, desperate look. In that moment, they both knew that their actions had set in motion events that would reshape the future of both their worlds. The question was, would it bring their species together or tear them apart forever? The stage was set for a confrontation that would test the limits of love, loyalty, and the very foundations of interstellar diplomacy. The news of Zara and Alex's forbidden relationship spread like wildfire across Lumina and to the orbiting human ships. What had begun as a historic mission of peace and cultural exchange now teetered on the brink of diplomatic disaster. Zara found herself confined to the Science Academy, her movements restricted and her research suspended. The familiar halls that had once been her sanctuary now felt like a prison. Through the windows, she could see the human ships preparing for departure, their engines glowing with barely contained energy. Meanwhile, Alex was escorted back to the human flagship, the Stellar Envoy. As he stepped onto the bridge, he was met with a mix of sympathetic and disapproving glances from his crew. Commander Lyra Corey approached him, her face a mask of professionalism masking deeper concern. Captain, we've received orders from Earth Command. We're to break orbit immediately and return home for debriefing, she reported, her voice tight. Alex's jaw clenched. And what about our mission? The treaties we were negotiating? We can't just abandon everything we've worked for. Lyra's expression softened slightly. I'm sorry, Alex, but your involvement with the Luminian scientist has complicated things. Earth Command feels we need to regroup and reassess our approach. As the humans prepared to leave, tensions on Lumina reached a boiling point. The High Council convened an emergency session to discuss the implications of Zara's actions. Elder Vex stood before his peers, his scales a turbulent mix of colors reflecting his inner turmoil. Esteemed colleagues, he began, his voice echoing through the grand chamber, we stand at a crossroads. The actions of one of our own have brought us to the brink of a diplomatic crisis. But perhaps more concerning is the question it raises about our isolation policy. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. For millennia, the Luminians had maintained a strict policy of non-interference with other species. Zara's relationship with Alex had shattered that tradition in the most profound way possible. As the debate raged on Lumina, Zara sat in her quarters, her mind racing. She knew she should feel remorse for the chaos she had caused, but all she could think about was Alex. The thought of him leaving, potentially never to return, was unbearable. In that moment of desperation, she made a decision that would change everything. Using her scientific credentials, Zara bypassed the security protocols on her communication device. With trembling hands, she sent a message to Alex's ship. "I can't let you leave. There's something you need to know." Aboard the Stellar Envoy, Alex received Zara's message just as they were preparing to break orbit. His heart raced as he read her words, sensing the urgency behind them. Against his better judgment, he knew he had to respond. "Lyra," he called to his second-in-command, "delay our departure. There's been a development." Before Lyra could protest, alarms blared across the ship. On the main view screen, a fleet of Luminian vessels appeared, their sleek, crystalline forms gliding into a blockade formation. "Sir," one of the officers reported, "we're being hailed by the Luminian fleet." Alex straightened his uniform, steeling himself for what was to come. On screen, the image of Elder Vex materialized before them, his expression grave. "Captain Chen, by order of the High Council, you and your crew are to remain in Luminian space until further notice. Any attempt to leave will be seen as an act of aggression." Alex's mind raced. This was unprecedented. The Luminians had never shown any military capabilities before. "Elder Vex, with all due respect, you have no authority to detain us. We are not your prisoners." Vex's eyes narrowed. "Perhaps not, Captain, but we have reason to believe that vital Luminian secrets have been compromised. Until we can ascertain the extent of the contamination, no one is leaving." As the standoff intensified, Zara made her move. Using her knowledge of Luminian systems, she managed to slip out of the Science Academy. Her destination, the ancient spaceport, long abandoned but still functional. Back on the Stellar Envoy, Alex and his crew were frantically trying to find a diplomatic solution to their predicament. It was then that a small, unidentified craft appeared on their sensors, weaving its way through the Luminian blockade. "Captain," Lyra called out, her voice filled with disbelief, "we're being hailed by the small craft. It's Dr. Zara." Alex's heart leaped as Zara's face appeared on the screen. Her scales were pale with fear, but her eyes burned with determination. "Alex, I'm coming aboard. There's something I need to tell you, and your crew." As Zara's ship docked with the Stellar Envoy, alarms blared across Lumina. Elder Vex watched in horror as he realized what was happening. "Stop that ship," he commanded, but it was too late. Zara rushed onto the bridge of the human ship, her presence causing a stir among the crew. Alex moved to her side, concern etched on his face. "Zara, what's going on? Why did you risk coming here?" Taking a deep breath, Zara looked into Alex's eyes, then addressed the entire bridge crew. "I came because you all deserve to know the truth. The reason the High Council is so desperate to keep you here is me." Alex's brow furrowed in confusion. "You? Zara, what are you talking about?" Zara's scales shimmered with a mix of fear and determination as she spoke the words that would change everything. "I'm pregnant, Alex, with your child, a human-Luminian hybrid." The bridge fell into stunned silence. Alex staggered back, his mind reeling from the implications. Lyra's hand flew to her mouth in shock, and on the view screen, Elder Vex's face contorted with a mix of anger and fear. "Do you realize what you've done?" Vex's voice boomed through the comm system. "You've endangered both our species. This aberration cannot be allowed to exist." Alex stepped forward, his protective instincts kicking in. "You're wrong, Elder Vex. This child isn't an aberration. It's a bridge between our worlds, living proof that our species can coexist. As the stellar envoy hung in space, surrounded by the Luminian fleet, the fate of two civilizations now rested on the existence of one unborn child. The stage was set for a confrontation that would test the limits of tolerance, understanding, and the very definition of humanity. The interstellar conflict had begun, and at its heart was a love that defied the boundaries of worlds. The revelation of Zara's pregnancy sent shockwaves through both the human and Luminian communities. The stellar envoy, once a symbol of interstellar cooperation, now found itself at the center of a diplomatic maelstrom. On the bridge, Alex stood protectively beside Zara, his mind racing with the implications of her announcement. Commander Lyra Curry, ever the voice of reason, stepped forward. "Captain," she said, her voice low and urgent, "we need to contact Earth Command immediately. This situation has escalated beyond our authority to handle." Alex nodded, his face set with determination. "Agreed, but we're not handing Zara over to anyone. She stays under our protection." As the humans scrambled to establish communication with Earth, the Luminian fleet maintained its blockade. Elder Vex's face reappeared on the view screen, his scales now a dark, stormy hue. "Dr. Zara," he intoned, his voice heavy with disappointment and barely contained anger, "you have betrayed not only our trust but the very foundations of our society. Return to Lumina immediately to face the consequences of your actions." Zara stepped forward, her hand instinctively moving to her abdomen. "I will return, Elder Vex, but not as a prisoner. I demand a fair trial before the High Council, one where both Alex and I can present our case." Vex's eyes narrowed, but before he could respond, a new voice joined the conversation. On a separate channel, the stern face of Admiral Helena Vega, Earth's highest-ranking official in interstellar affairs, appeared. "This is Admiral Vega of Earth Command," she announced, her voice crisp and authoritative. "I've been briefed on the situation. Elder Vex, Captain Chen, we propose an immediate diplomatic summit to address this unprecedented development." After hours of tense negotiation, an agreement was reached. The summit would take place on neutral ground, a space station orbiting Lumina's smaller moon. Representatives from Earth and Lumina would be present, along with Alex, Zara, and a team of medical experts from both species. As they prepared for the summit, Alex and Zara found a moment alone in his quarters. The weight of their situation hung heavy in the air. "Are you okay?" Alex asked softly, his hand gently caressing Zara's shimmering scales. Zara's eyes swirled with a mix of emotions. "I'm scared, Alex. Not just for us, but for our child. What kind of life will they have if our people can't accept them?" Alex pulled her close, his voice filled with conviction. "We'll fight for them, Zara. No matter what happens, we're in this together." The space station buzzed with activity as delegations from both worlds arrived. The main conference room was divided, humans on one side, Luminians on the other, with Alex and Zara seated at the center. Admiral Vega opened the proceedings, her voice echoing through the chamber. "We are gathered here to address a situation unprecedented in the history of interstellar relations. The union between Captain Alexander Chen and Dr. Zara of Lumina, and the child they have conceived, presents us with both challenges and opportunities." Elder Vex spoke next, his tone measured but underlaid with tension. "While we acknowledge the unique nature of this situation, we cannot ignore the potential threats it poses. The mixing of our species could have unforeseen consequences for both our worlds." As the debate raged on, medical experts from both sides presented their findings. Dr. Elara Solstice, a renowned human xenobiologist, stepped forward. "Our preliminary scans show that the fetus is developing normally with a fascinating blend of human and Luminian characteristics," she reported. "While there are many unknowns, we see no immediate health risks to either the child or Dr. Zara." Her Luminian counterpart, bioarchitect Zin, added his perspective. "The child's genetic structure is unlike anything we've ever seen. It could hold the key to advancements in both our sciences. However, we cannot predict how this hybrid physiology will develop over time. As the medical discussion continued, the political debate grew heated. Some argued for immediate separation of Alex and Zara, citing risks of cultural contamination. Others saw the potential for a new era of interspecies cooperation. Through it all, Alex and Zara remained united. When given the chance to speak, they stood together, hands clasped. "We understand the fears and concerns of both our peoples," Alex began, his voice steady and clear. "But we ask you to look beyond those fears, to see the possibility that stands before you." Zara continued, her scales shimmering with emotion. "Our child is not a threat, but a promise, a living bridge between our worlds. They represent the best of both our species, human adaptability and determination, Luminian wisdom and connection to the cosmos." Their words seemed to resonate with some, but others remained skeptical. As the summit stretched into its second day, a compromise began to take shape. Admiral Vega proposed a bold plan. "We suggest a joint human-Luminian research initiative focused on studying and supporting this unique pregnancy. Both Captain Chen and Dr. Zara would remain under observation, with full access to medical care from both worlds." Elder Vex, after conferring with the Luminian delegation, reluctantly agreed. "We will accept this proposal on the condition that the child, once born, be raised with full knowledge and respect for both their human and Luminian heritage." As the summit drew to a close, Alex and Zara found themselves at the center of a fragile new alliance. Their love, once forbidden, had become the cornerstone of an unprecedented interspecies cooperation. But as they left the conference room, both knew that the greatest challenges still lay ahead. They had won the right to be together, to have their child, but the journey of bringing two worlds together had only just begun. The eyes of two civilizations were upon them, watching, waiting to see what this new chapter in cosmic history would bring. For Alex and Zara, the trial of two worlds had only been the first test in their quest to bridge the stars with love. In the months following the historic summit, the space station orbiting Lumina's smaller moon became a hub of unprecedented interspecies collaboration. Renamed Harmony Point, it served as both a research facility and a neutral ground where humans and Luminians could interact freely. At the heart of this scientific and cultural exchange were Alex and Zara, their unique relationship and impending parenthood the catalyst for a new era of understanding between their species. One morning, as Alex entered the station's main laboratory, he found Zara deep in conversation with Dr. Elara Solstice and bioarchitect Zin. The holographic display before them showed a rotating image of their developing child, a mesmerizing blend of human and Luminian features. "Alex, come look at this," Zara called, her scales shimmering with excitement. "Zin and Elara have made an incredible discovery." Dr. Solstice nodded, her eyes bright with scientific fervor. "We've been analyzing the fetus's neural patterns. It appears that your child may possess both human adaptability and the Luminian's innate connection to cosmic energies. The potential implications are staggering." Bioarchitect Zin chimed in, his usually stoic demeanor softened by genuine awe. "If our theories are correct, this child could potentially bridge our species in ways we never imagined possible. They might be able to interface with both human technology and Luminian biocrystalline structures." Alex felt a mix of pride and trepidation as he studied the hologram. "That's incredible. But won't this make some people even more fearful of what our child represents?" Zara placed a comforting hand on his arm, her touch sending a familiar warmth through him. "It might," she admitted, "but it's also an opportunity to show both our peoples the amazing possibilities that come from embracing our differences rather than fearing them." As the pregnancy progressed, Alex found himself facing challenges of his own. Many in the human delegation still viewed his relationship with Zara with suspicion, seeing it as a potential security risk. Determined to prove his commitment to both his unborn child and the mission of interspecies cooperation, Alex threw himself into learning everything he could about Luminian culture and science. One day, while working with a team of Luminian engineers, on upgrading the station's power systems, Alex had a breakthrough. Drawing on his knowledge of human spacecraft design and his newly acquired understanding of Luminian energy manipulation, he proposed a hybrid system that could dramatically increase efficiency. If we integrate the biocrystalline conduits with our plasma inverters, he explained, sketching out his idea on a holographic display, we could potentially create a power grid that's more stable and adaptable than anything either of our species has developed independently. The Luminian engineers were initially skeptical, but as Alex walked them through his calculations, their doubt turned to excitement. Word of his innovation spread quickly through the station, reaching even the ears of Elder Vex back on Lumina. Meanwhile, Zara was making strides of her own in fostering understanding between the species. She organized a series of cultural exchange workshops where humans and Luminians could share their art, music, and philosophies. These sessions often led to profound discussions about the nature of existence and each species' place in the cosmos. During one such workshop, a young human scientist asked Zara about the Luminian concept of cosmic harmony. As Zara began to explain, she suddenly gasped, her hands flying to her swollen abdomen. Zara. Alex was at her side in an instant, concern etched on his face. Is everything okay? Zara's eyes were wide with wonder. The baby. I think they're responding to the cosmic energies we were discussing. I can feel them resonating. Dr. Solstice, who had been monitoring Zara's pregnancy closely, rushed over with her scanning equipment. Fascinating, she murmured as she analyzed the readings. It appears the fetus is indeed reacting to the ambient energy fields. This level of sensitivity is unprecedented. The incident sparked a new wave of research and speculation about the capabilities of human Luminian hybrids. While some saw it as a cause for celebration, others grew increasingly wary of the unknown potential such beings might possess. As Zara's due date approached, tensions on both Lumina and Earth began to rise once more. Fringe groups on both planets protested against the cosmic abomination, as they called the unborn child. Security around Harmony Point was tightened, and Alex found himself constantly on edge, worried about the safety of his family. It was during this time of heightened anxiety that Alex received an unexpected visitor. Elder Vex himself had traveled to the station, requesting a private audience with the human captain. As Alex entered the conference room, he found the elder Luminian standing by the viewport, gazing out at the stars. For a moment, neither spoke, the weight of their shared history hanging between them. Finally, Vex turned, his eyes meeting Alex's. Captain Chen, he began, his voice softer than Alex had ever heard it, I owe you an apology. Taken aback, Alex could only nod for the elder to continue. I was wrong, Vex admitted. In my fear of the unknown, I nearly destroyed something beautiful. Your dedication to understanding our ways, your innovations that benefit both our peoples, you've shown me that there is much more that unites us than divides us. Alex felt a lump form in his throat. Thank you, Elder Vex. That means more than you know. Vex moved closer, his scales shimmering with a mix of emotions. I've come to make you an offer, Captain. When your child is born, I would like to perform the cosmic blessing, a ceremony usually reserved for our most honored citizens. It would symbolize our acceptance of your family and the new future you represent. Overwhelmed, Alex reached out to clasp Vex's hand. We would be honored, Elder. As they stood there, human and Luminian united in a moment of understanding, alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. A voice crackled over the intercom. Medical emergency in Lab 3. Dr. Zara has gone into labor. Alex's eyes widened in a mix of excitement and fear. The moment they had all been waiting for, and dreading, had finally arrived. As he rushed from the room, Elder Vex close behind, Alex knew that whatever happened next would change the course of history for both their worlds. The birth of the first human Luminian child was about to become a reality, and with it, the dawn of a new era in interstellar relations. The bridge between stars, forged by love and understanding, was about to be tested like never before. The medical bay of Harmony Point was a flurry of activity as both human and Luminian medical staff prepared for the unprecedented birth. Alex rushed in, his heart pounding, to find Zara already in the delivery room, her scales pulsating with a brilliant light that filled the chamber. "Alex," she gasped, reaching out for him. He took her hand, marveling at the warmth and energy flowing through her. Dr. Ilara Solstice and bioarchitect Zin worked in perfect synchronization, their combined expertise the culmination of months of preparation for this moment. The room hummed with a mixture of advanced human medical equipment and Luminian biocrystalline technology, all focused on ensuring the safe delivery of the galaxy's first human Luminian child. "You're doing great, Zara," Dr. Solstice encouraged. "The baby's vital signs are strong. Just a little more." Suddenly, the lights in the room flickered, and a wave of energy pulsed through the station. Alarms blared as systems went haywire. "What's happening?" Alex demanded, looking around in confusion. Zin's eyes widened in awe. "The child, it's emanating cosmic energy on a scale we've never seen before. It's interfacing with the station's systems." As if in response to Zin's words, the chaotic energy stabilized, and the alarms fell silent. The medical equipment, instead of shorting out, seemed to be operating at peak efficiency, displaying readings with unprecedented clarity. "Incredible," Dr. Solstice breathed. "The baby is helping us." With a final push from Zara and a burst of radiant energy that bathed the room in a soft, otherworldly glow, their child entered the world. The cry that filled the air was unlike anything any of them had ever heard, a sound that seemed to resonate with the very fabric of space-time. "It's a girl," Dr. Solstice announced, her voice filled with wonder as she held up the newborn. The child was a breathtaking sight, her skin a soft, iridescent sheen reminiscent of Zara's scales, with swirling patterns that seemed to reflect the cosmos. Her eyes, when they opened, were a deep, mesmerizing blue with flecks of starlight. As Alex cradled his daughter for the first time, he felt an overwhelming surge of love and protectiveness. "She's perfect," he whispered, tears streaming down his face. Zara reached out, her fingers gently caressing the baby's cheek. "Our little star child," she murmured, "a bridge between worlds." The news of the successful birth spread quickly. On the station, humans and Luminians alike gathered outside the medical bay, all previous tensions forgotten in the face of this miraculous event. Elder Vex arrived, his usually stern face softened with emotion. "May I?" he asked, approaching the new family. With Alex and Zara's nod of approval, he placed a gentle hand on the child's forehead. "By the cosmic forces that bind us all," he intoned, his voice resonating with ancient power, "I bless this child, Lyra Celestia Chen, first of her kind, bridge between stars and hope for our future." As if in response to the blessing, little Lyra cooed, and the room was filled with a soft, warm light emanating from her tiny form. The assembled crowd gasped in awe. In the days that followed, scientists from both species worked tirelessly to understand Lyra's unique abilities. They discovered that she possessed an innate ability to manipulate energy fields, bridging the gap between human technology and Luminian bioenergy in ways they had only dreamed of. But beyond her extraordinary gifts, Lyra represented something far more profound, the living embodiment of what could be achieved when two vastly different species came together in love and understanding. As news of Lyra's birth spread across Earth and Lumina, public opinion began to shift. The fear and suspicion that had once dominated discussions about interspecies relations gave way to curiosity and hope. People on both worlds were captivated by the story of Alex and Zara's love and the miracle it had produced. 1 month after Lyra's birth, a grand ceremony was held on Harmony Point. Representatives from Earth and Lumina gathered to officially recognize Lyra as a citizen of both worlds, the first of her kind. The event was broadcast across both planets, watched by billions. Alex and Zara stood proud, their daughter cradled between them, as Admiral Vega and Elder Vex signed a historic accord. The document not only ensured Lyra's rights and protection, but also established a framework for continued cooperation and cultural exchange between humans and Luminians. Today, Admiral Vega announced, her voice carrying across the stars, "We take our first steps into a new era of galactic fellowship." Lyra Celestia Chen represents not just the union of two individuals, but the infinite potential that lies in embracing our differences and reaching out across the cosmic divide. Elder Vex nodded in agreement. For too long, we Luminians isolated ourselves, fearing the unknown. But in doing so, we nearly missed out on the greatest adventure of all, the chance to grow, to learn, to expand our understanding of the universe through the eyes of others. As the ceremony concluded, Alex and Zara retreated to a quiet corner of the station. They stood by the viewport, Lyra nestled safely in Zara's arms, and gazed out at the vast expanse of space before them. "What do you think the future holds for her?" Zara asked softly, her scales shimmering with maternal love. Alex wrapped his arm around his family, feeling a profound sense of peace and purpose. "I don't know," he admitted, "but whatever challenges she faces, she'll have the best of both our worlds to guide her. And she'll always know that she was born from love, a love strong enough to bridge the stars." As if in response, Lyra opened her eyes, those incredible orbs reflecting the countless possibilities that lay ahead. In that moment, as human and Luminian stood united, their miracle child nestled between them, the future seemed brighter than all the stars in the galaxy. The story of Alex, Zara, and Lyra would be told for generations to come, a testament to the power of love, understanding, and the indomitable spirit of those who dare to reach across the cosmic divide. Their journey had only just begun, but already they had changed the course of history, forging a path toward a future where the boundaries between species were no longer barriers, but bridges to a grand, interconnected cosmic community. As Harmony Point continued its orbit, a symbol of unity in the vast ocean of space, the first chapter of humanity's greatest adventure came to a close, and an entire universe of possibilities beckoned.